people have been wondering, how does the leveling work in this? Right? Will I be over leveled for it? Will I be under leveled for it? When you are in this sort of Shadow Realm area, you can really interesting teleport back to the lands between whenever you want. You can go back to Renala I'm already blanking. Raya Lucaria. Yeah, you can teleport back to Renala, and you can freaking change your build if you want, which I did once while I was there at the event. And you could just teleport right back, and it's a different button when you're looking at the map. When you open up the map, you click in the right stick to go underground or above ground.
Yeah.
Right bumper or R1 essentially takes you to the Shadowlands screen.
So is going back and respecting your character, is that how they're expecting you to interact? Because I know one of the things, there's like a lot of bullet points we talk about this DLC. People have been sharing around. Screen Time on Twitter had one where they talk about reportedly 30 to 40 hours long. And I want to get to all these bullet points in a second, but reportedly 30 to 40 hours long, 10 plus full bosses plus side bosses, 8 new weapons types, one being martial arts. Enemies are faster, and then there's the new system, which is the Shadow Realm blessing. With those 8 new weapon types, I've been seeing a lot of that, and like they look fucking cool. Is the idea that, all right, this weapon type is leaning more towards, let's say, a dexterity build. If you are going into this as a strength build, but you like this weapon type, you like this fighting style, you're going back to Raya Lucaria, to Renala to respec and then go back? Or are they treating it a different way? Are these weapons that you can use, these weapon types you can use off the bat? Like, did you get a sense of how that's going?
No, there are definitely new weapon types that are geared towards certain builds. When you walk in, you're already given some weapons that were already fairly leveled up. One of the weapons that I used the most, which was a big ass greatsword that like sort of lit on fire, and it had like a sort of Ash of War power where it would light on fire and it would hurt the enemies with fire damage or whatever. But the other weapon types are very much geared towards either dex or faith or intelligence, just like you would be used to. So when you're scrolling down your weapons, not only do you see, your swords and then your great swords, there's now a new weapon class called the light greatsword, which was really fascinating. It's about it looks to be about the size of what you would get with a greatsword, even the size of like a katana, like lengthwise. It looks like the length of a katana. It's gonna pack a punch, but it also swings really fast. It's got cool combo moves. It's a lot quicker to use, Mike, than just lugging around this gigantic, super heavy weapon like you kind of used to see me doing whenever we do our co-op playthroughs.
Oh yeah.
And aside from that, there's...
Tell them about the perfume bottles. I want to know about it.
The perfume bottles, if you want to be just an absolute piece of garbage, you could use the perfumers. I only say that because the perfumers are one of my least favorite enemies in Elden Ring. Mm-hmm. And the dudes are just like, they throw like just like smoke perfume at you and they turn on fire, like little sparks, right? At the end of like the explosion. The coolest thing about the perfumer is that I assumed that would be using like magic or your mana blue bar, and it doesn't. It's just you just use as much as
like
you want.
Stamina that is just
using? And from what I saw, I don't know if there's going to be different perfume types for all of the different elements, but I believe lightning was the one that we saw, and I assume there's got to be fire because those are the ones we're always getting hit by in the game. And if those are those two elements, there's probably maybe a bleed one or a poison or whatever.
Oh, that's fucking awesome.
It was really, really fascinating. It's not the item that I chose to use for a bit. I did also try the Beast Claws.
See, that's what I want to know about, because so there's 8 new weapon types. I'm on IGN. They list them as thrusting shields, which seem to be more like offensive type shields.
It's all the thrusting shield is basically just like it's a shield with a cut with 2 pointy ends, and it not only are you using it to block, it's like a two-hander, but you can also use it to
poke,
strike some enemies. There's also like a little ground pound attack similar to what the tree sentinel does when he like knocks his shield on the ground. You can do that with your
the thrusting shield.
Yeah.
So you have that. You have the hand-to-hand arts, which sound really cool. I don't know if you got a chance to try that out.
Yeah, that was another item that you start off with based on these builds that they gave you. They gave you the option to 3 builds. You had like a sorcerer build, a warrior, and a knight.
And this is for the demo. This isn't. Is this a DLC thing?
Oh, this was for this demo.
Okay.
Yeah, they gave us 3 builds so that we could kind of try out and go wherever we wanted with it, right? And then we could also always respec if we wanted to. And yeah, the martial arts build, martial arts weapons, they're just basically like little hand kind of things you put on your dude, and you have all sorts of different punching combos. In addition to the one that we saw in the first gameplay trailer, where you're doing like freaking
kicks.
Ryu kicks in midair,
Yeah.
spinning in midair. Yeah, that is I believe that's the Ash of War that you have with that ability. Because otherwise, you are comboing. You can, right punch, left punch, double punch, and you can sort of like combo different strings of attacks together. But then the Ash of War is the one where you jump up and you are sort of spinning your body and kicking in midair.
Hell yeah.
And that thing felt extremely satisfying, super quick to do. It was awesome as hell. It felt really fun.
We also got throwing weapons as a weapon type. We got reverse hand swords.
Reverse hand swords were really sick.
Yeah.
I ended up using those after I switched my build to Dex. I started off with a strength build, and I ended up going. Here they are, right here on the screen. These are the reverse.
I nailed it,
dude. These are so sick. They just kind of point backwards, and they have really really cool combos to work with. The interesting about it is you only have to have one in order to dual wield them. If you have a shield in your left hand and you have one in your right hand, you can just be attacking with that one. And even if you don't have 2 in your inventory, if you 2-hand that sword, it becomes 2.
Oh, that's sick. I love that.
I don't know if that changes stats-wise, because I didn't realize that until after the event, where I ended up finding an extra one. And to me, I'm like, ooh, let me power stance these. Let me put one in my right hand and left hand, and I'll go to town on that. And then I did find out after the event that the one became 2 if you did decide to dual hand them or whatever. So I don't know if that changes the stats at all. I don't know if maybe if you have 2, if it does a little bit more damage, or if one does the same. I'm not sure. I saw somebody in the chat ask, Andy, did you also see Max? I did see Maximilian dude there as well.
Yeah.
Very tall fella, just a lovely human being.
We see him at so many events. I've still never talked to him.
Oh, you gotta say hi. He's such a sweetheart.
But it's like talking to a hero. Where it's like, I don't want to ruin this interaction.
I feel that.
I don't
I
want to be
feel
like
that.
Troy in Community when he meets LeVar Burton, where I'm just like staring like, oh shit, that's Max.
This episode of Kinda Funny is brought to you by Punkle, the developers behind Vampire Survivors. Did you know that Vampire Survivors is out on just about everything? That's right, you can play it this very second on PC, Xbox, Switch, and mobile. And if that wasn't enough, it's coming to PlayStation this summer with a Platinum Trophy, and I just so happen to be stoked. Why? Because it's awesome! Vampire Survivors is a gothic horror casual game with roguelike elements where your choices can allow you to quickly snowball against the hundreds of monsters that get thrown at you. Mow down thousands of night creatures and survive until dawn. Pick your character, spend your gold on power-ups, and get to being the bullet hell in the game that features absolutely zero vampires. Ponkel even just released the new DLC Operation Guns, featuring the classic and timeless Konami IP, Contra. We've been talking about this game for years, so there's no reason not to support it now. It's as affordable as a cup of coffee. Get Vampire Survivors on your platform of choice this very second, and thank Ponkel for sponsoring Kinda Funny.
But then we have the other classes that we talked about being the Perfume Bottles, Beast Claws, Light Great Swords, and there's also Great Katanas. And all these classes sound sick as fuck to me. You said you started off with like a strength class. Which of these work well with a strength build? Because that's what I'm rocking with currently in Elden Ring. I'll probably respec for this anyway, but
the light greatsword works with that. I got to assume that heavy katana does as well. Although katanas are usually dex. I guess with the strength build, all I kind of used was.
I imagine the thrusting shield's probably strength too, right?
Yeah, thrusting shield's got to be strength. When I used the fire weapon that eventually ignites, and that was a strength build for sure. It does seem like they are giving a lot of love to a lot of the strength type weapons this time around, based on just kind of the stuff that I was finding in the world. I think one of the. Yeah, I have right here the weapon that I ended up using. I had written it down, but I don't think I think it may have deleted the actual name of the weapon. Oh, Fire Knight's Heavy Greatsword is what it was called. That's one that I was using for the most part.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. And then I switched to those reversed dual swords, the dual-handed things.
I want to talk a bit about, I guess, just exploration and things you were finding in dungeons and stuff like that. When it comes to dungeons, you mentioned that you got to explore a legacy dungeon. Did you get all the way through it? Did you get to the final boss? Like, what was it compared to something like, let's say, either Stormveil Castle or any of the main legacy dungeons from the proper game?
Really quick before you answer that, Andy, just because I'm an idiot and still early in my Souls career here, what is a legacy dungeon versus like what they talk about with different dungeons?
Legacy dungeons are very comparable to what you experience with Stormveil, what you experience with Volcano Manor, just sort of a much larger winding experience with all of the level design flair that you would expect from software.
Gotcha.
The smaller type dungeons are when we're talking about the caves, the catacombs, the what are the ruins where you get all the stones at? Are they just called ruins? They may just be called ruins.
Yeah.
Those are like the smaller sort of experiences, and there were a couple of those here. There was a cave that I did not get to experience. I believe Lucy was sitting next to me, and I saw her go into one of the caves that's kind of just off the road. You just, there's a little opening. Let me hop in there, and it looked very similar to experiencing what a cave would be in Elden Ring, but I, for the most part, was just in these larger legacy dungeons. So the main legacy dungeon that you can go explore is Bellat, and like I was mentioning earlier, it reminded me so much of looking and walking through Lane-Dell. Even some of those Stormveil vibes. There's just so much to look and find here. There's so much to see. There's so many different alleys and areas to kind of walk through. A bunch of different secret spots. You could probably find a way to beeline your way all the way to the main boss, but it took me a while I wanted to like see as much of it as I possibly could. Enemies were pains in the asses. I died a couple of times getting on the way over there, and then the final boss at the end of this dungeon is the big lion dancer guy that we've seen in a lot of the promotional material. That was the dude at the end of the first trailer, or at the end of the first legacy dungeon called Bellat. Super tough. I had a lot of fun fighting against him. Very weird fighting style. Always very, very floaty. Hits really, really hard. Like, these dudes are chunking you for 30 to 40% of your health with every hit. In some cases more. And yeah, it was a great time. I had a great time fighting him. And halfway through the fight, I was like, oh, I can use an Ash of War. Why am I not using my Ashes of War? Or your Spirit Ashes, rather. Your Spirit Ashes that you can summon through this fight. You can summon the hands now.
No way.
You can have a little friend of yours.
I would
be a
never
little hand.
do that, though.
Yeah. But it's your friend, though, Bless. Now it's your friend.
Now it's your friend.
Fucking terrified and fighting for my life at the same time. No, I'm good.
He could be your friend. You could summon that dude. You can also summon a big knight that I don't think I found those items. I think they were just kind of given to me. There's also a bird you can summon, and I think that's maybe one that I found while walking in this dungeon. There's a bunch of kind of like jerk-ass little birds that are just kind of on the roofs that you can fight, and then I believe that's where I found the bird spirit ash. Or maybe it was just already in my inventory, because again, they kind of gave you a loadout of pre-prepared items and weapons you could use.
Another quick question relating to that. Do you remember like kind of what level you were at with the builds?
We were 150.
Gotcha.
We were
So
150.
you're already at that high end.
Yeah, we were 150. And one big question that I've been getting from a lot of people is, how does the leveling work out here, right? And the way that you level is very similar to the way you level in Sekiro. I know they had mentioned that in a bunch of different interviews. But when you are in the Shadowlands, or the Land of Shadow, for the DLC, it operates differently from when you walk back outside. When you are in there, you are finding items that will only benefit you in there. When you walk back outside, you will not keep those benefits. So when you're in there, you find these items called Erdtree blessings, and they are these fragments that you find. I don't know how many there are in the world, but I ended up finding like 7. It takes 1 to level up your Erdtree blessing level to like 1, right? And you go level that up by sitting at a side of grace. You sit down, there's a new menu there called like blessings of the something or whatever. And so I upgraded my Scattertree blessing, and doing so helps negate more damage for you. Like, I didn't ever see in my stats that now I have plus 10 health or plus 5 health or what. Like, I wasn't immediately seeing what the benefits were, but I got to assume it is like Sekiro, where they're not really telling you immediately, like, here's what's happening to you. You just kind of know, all right, either I'm negating more damage or the enemies are doing less damage. Like, that's got to, I'm not sure what the math is here, but I'm getting stronger.
Are you still collecting runes when defeating enemies?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, you can still level up, but these Scattertree blessings are things that can kind of help you while you're there in that area. And you find one to level up 1 to go to like level 1, and then you find 2 to level up to level 2. And I think it just required 2 to go up to level 3 again. I got to like Scattertree blessing level like 4, I believe.
And you're finding these in the world, or you're defeating bosses and earning them?
You're finding them.
Okay,
which was
like golden seeds almost type stuff?
Yeah, exactly. Which was really surprising because I thought they would just be rewards for a lot of these levels, but like they want you to go find these things. They're just kind of everywhere. Like in the most unimportant places or in some of the more important spots.
They're like moons in Mario Odyssey.
Yeah, it's really fascinating. And I think they do that just because they want to encourage you, like, hey, if you're having trouble around here, you don't got to go fight a boss to upgrade to the next thing. You might find one in a little cave over there or around that, in that bush or around that tree. So you're finding these Scattertree blessings. And then there's another item that you find that levels up it makes your spirit ashes more powerful. The little friends that you are summoning in boss fights, you strengthen these dudes up with this other blessing, and these are called Shadow Realm blessings. You level up your dudes, and you make Torrent more beefy. And he gets huge. No, I'm kidding. No, he just like, he takes more damage.
He looks like the fucking horse in the Venom trailer.
Are there more fights while you're riding him?
Not that I like necessarily experience, aside from the big dude with the fire in his head.
Okay,
Like, I got to
interesting.
assume that there's going to be more of those enemies.
Of course, yeah.
Because we were only able to really experience this starting chunk of this big land. Anything else was kind of blocked off away from us. But these blessings that I've been mentioning are the things that are going to help you kind of like have less of a difficult time in the DLC.